In today's maths lesson, we are going to work on a puzzle, which I'll explain to you shortly. There are not going to be many calculations or workings that you need to write down for today's lesson. All you need is about 1 or 2 pieces of paper or card, if you prefer. Now, the first thing I'd like you to do is to cut up 10 small pieces of your paper or card. Now, for today, I'm going to use little green pieces of paper because hopefully that'll show up better on my video. But if you've got just plain normal white paper, that's absolutely fine. So I'd like you to cut up 10 pieces of your paper. On one side, I'd like you to write open, and on the other side, I'd like you to write closed on each of the 10 pieces. And once you've done that, I'd like you to line them up, just like I'm doing here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, you may need to pause the video at this point so you can get your paper and cut up the 10 little pieces and write on the front and the back. Remember, it's open on the front and closed on the other side. And once you've done that, you can restart the video so I can start explaining today's puzzle. Okay, so if you've restarted the video, hopefully that means you're ready to make a start on today's lesson. Now, I've got 10 pieces of paper in front of me. What this actually means or represents are 10 doors, where we've got the door that's open and doors which are closed, okay? And we're going to come back to that in a moment. And the puzzle also involves 10 people who are going to open and close these doors, and I'll explain to you in a second how that's going to work. Before I do that, I think it'd be really useful to have the numbers of each door written down. So just above each piece of paper, I'm going to write the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So for example, this is door number 1, this is door number 2, this is door number 3, and so on. So how this puzzle is going to work is I've got 10 people lined up on the left hand side here, ready to walk along this row of doors. Now, as you can see here, all of the doors are starting open, and what person number 1 is going to do is walk along this row of doors and close all of them in the 1 times table. So what that basically means is person number 1 is going to close all of the doors to start off with. So I'm going to close them all by turning the pieces of paper over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now what person number 2 is going to do is walk along the row and change, so either open or close, all of the doors that are in the 2 times table. So person number 2 is going to just turn this door, number 2, then number 4, then number 6, then number 8, and then number 10. So all of the doors that are in the 2 times table. Now person number 3 is going to walk along the row of doors and change or turn all of the doors that are in the 3 times table. So person number 3 is going to turn door number 3, door number 6, door number 9, and that's it. That's all of the ones in the 3 times table for these 10 doors here. Now what I'd like you to do, please, is carry on this pattern. So with person number 4, then person number 5, person number 6, and so on. But each person only turns the doors that are in that times table. So person number 4, who's next, will only turn the doors in the 4 times table. Now as you can see here, I've got some doors which are open and some doors which are closed. And what I'd like you to do is find out which doors, after all 10 people have been, are closed. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video now so you can carry on from person number 4. And once you've finished with all 10, make a note of which doors are closed. So pause the video and then restart once you've completed this task. Okay, if you've restarted the video, hopefully that means you've completed this little puzzle for all 10 people. Now I'm going to do this as an example for everyone in case you got a little bit stuck. So where we left off was the next person was person number 4, and person number 4 needed to turn all of the doors in the 4 times table. So door number 4 and door number 8, and that's it. Then there's person number 5 who will need to do all of the doors in the 5 times table. So number 5 and number 10. Then there was person number 6 who needs to turn all of the doors in the 6 times table. So it's just number 6, isn't it? Then number 7, person number 7 who just needs to turn door number 7 because that's the only one in the 7 times table. Door number 8 will be turned by person number 8 and that's the only one in the 8 times table. Person number 9 will need to turn door 9 and that's the only one in the 9 times table. And finally the last person, person number 10, will just need to turn the only one that's in the 10 times table, which is number 10. So that's the first little puzzle finished, and we've got some doors which are open and some doors which are closed. Now hopefully you got the same as me, which is the doors that are closed are number 1, number 4 and number 9. Now you might spot something quite interesting about those 3 doors, but I'm not going to say what that is. What I'd like you to do is test if the thing that you've spotted will work for numbers bigger than 10. So if we had more people and more doors. If you haven't spotted anything from these 3 doors which are closed, that's absolutely fine. You can still do the next problem. So problem number 2 is to do the exact same thing, but instead of using just 10 people and 10 cards, I'd like you to use 30 people and 30 cards or pieces of paper. So what you might need to do here is just quickly draw on some more pieces of paper, so you have 30 altogether, and get them lined up just like we did for the first puzzle. And then once you've got them all lined up, you will start with them all open, and then the same thing will happen. Person number 1 will turn all of the ones in the 1 times table, person number 2 will turn all of the ones in the 2 times table, and so on until you get all the way up to person number 30 and door number 30. I'd like to make some predictions if possible, so bearing in mind what we've just worked out here, if you could predict what doors are going to be closed after all 30 people have been, that would be excellent. But again, if you haven't spotted anything here, or if you're not sure what's going to happen, that's absolutely fine. You can do the puzzle and work that out for yourself. So what I'd like to do now, please, is the puzzle for 30 people and 30 doors. And at the end, you're going to have a list of doors which are shut or closed at the end of the puzzle once you've finished. So pause the video now and you can have a go at that. Okay, so if you've restarted the video, hopefully that means that you've worked on this puzzle for 30 people and 30 doors, and you might have spotted something interesting about the numbers of the doors that were closed at the end. What I'd like you to do, instead of uploading workings or calculations for today's lesson, is just to take a photo of what you've done in front of you. So for the 30 doors and the 30 people, you could take a photo of your final work and upload that to Google Classroom for your teacher to have a look at. The final problem that I'm going to explain is an extension, so you don't need to do this, but it would be good if you had a go. And the third and final puzzle for today is really similar, with doors that are going to be open or closed, but this time I'm going to have 100 people and 100 doors. Now I'm not expecting you to line up 100 pieces of paper or card at home. That's not what I'm expecting you to do. But you might have spotted a pattern or something interesting about the doors that were closed at the end of the last 2 puzzles. So maybe you could predict which doors would be closed if you had 100 people and 100 doors. So you could make a list of those numbers and why you think it will be those numbers. But more importantly, and again, this is an extension, it would be really great if you could try and understand why it is that those doors are the ones that are closed at the end of your puzzles. So maybe you need to delve a little deeper into those numbers and work out why it is that after all of the people open and close these doors in the puzzles that we've worked on, that it's those particular numbers, those interesting numbers, that end up closed at the very end of your puzzle. So that's it for today's lesson. Well done on working on this puzzle. Just remember to upload either some photos or your workings for the extension question onto Google Classroom so your teacher can see.